Hey guys, I just wanted to hop on here real quick and talk about a really devastating news. A lot of international students in the US got early this week, July 6th. Basically, the US Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, which is under the Department of Homeland Security in the US and is in charge of immigration, came out with a new rule that will affect international students, particularly international students that would attend US colleges that will be entirely online this fall. Basically, for the students who are already in a pandemic that's affecting the entire world, you'll have to choose basically between the devil and the deep blue sea. On the one hand, international students whose colleges and universities are online must either transfer to another university with in-person or hybrid instruction and risk contracting or transmitting the coronavirus. And on the other hand, they must leave the country and take classes in the US from their home countries entirely online. And a lot of times it turns out to be unsuitable work environments, completely different time zones. Like imagine having to wake up at 12 a.m. in Nigeria and take classes that your other classmates in the US are taking at 9 a.m. Like that just doesn't work. That's not sustainable. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Daniel Gabriel. I'm a first year student at Harvard Medical School. I'm also an international student from Nigeria, so this new ban tremendously affects me as well. And in this video, I'm going to be discussing my thoughts on the situation and what you can do to help. So just to give a quick backstory, who are international students? International students in the US are students who do not have a green card and are not citizens or permanent residents, but have an F1 or J1 visa to legally study here in the United States. There are over 1 million international students in the US in colleges, universities, and graduate programs across the country. And international students comprise about 15% of some colleges and universities, and even more for a lot of graduate programs in the US. So what I find particularly crazy is that this announcement comes just days after there was an extension and a freeze on green cards for new immigration and an executive order to suspend H-1B visas through the end of the year. And now we're faced with what is basically a backdoor temporary ban on F1 student visas. Now, international students in the US face a lot of challenges, from being homesick and not knowing when they're going to talk to their families, to generally paying more in tuition and fees than American students, because a lot of international students do not receive any scholarships. And now most universities use the higher tuition fees from international students to subsidize the tuition fee for a local American student, to pay more in taxes but being less likely to get opportunities such as internship, job opportunities, and even admission to graduate programs. I know the challenges I and a lot of other international students applying to medical schools faced. But what's even crazier to me is trying to figure out the motivation for this new ban. Why in the world will the US, in the middle of an unprecedented global pandemic, leave international students with no option but to leave the country in a time when a lot of borders are closed? So now I think there are two potential reasons, the second of which is probably closer to what's really happening here. Now, ICE says they're reverting back to the pre-COVID-19 rule where overseas students could not get visas to attend purely online universities in the US. And I think the idea there was to prevent fraud from happening, which was thought to happen with some online universities. But I think the real goal of this new ICE rule is really to force colleges and universities to open in the fall and have more in-person classes. And I think another goal with that is to limit the number of international students who can study here in the US. I think this rule is bad, not just for international students studying in the US, but also for American universities and colleges, and even for the country as a whole. First of all, this announcement comes with a really short notice. Colleges and universities are scheduled to start sometime in August in the fall, which is literally next month. Like, how do they expect international students to figure out the situation with such short notice? And even for US colleges and universities who have planned an online curriculum for the fall due to health concerns around the pandemic. Now, these schools might have to think about changing their curriculum to accommodate some in-person classes in literally 1 month. That's crazy. Another issue is that a lot of borders are closed for international travel. So I wonder what international students like me are supposed to do when the borders are closed. And even if international students were to somehow move back to their home country to attend school here, there's a lot of other issues that need to be thought about. First of all, some students might have to move back to unstable living conditions. I, for one, grew up without constant electricity, so having to move back home to take my medical school classes online would mean I have to struggle with constant power outage, not having electricity and internet connection to be able to study effectively. And then there's the issue of time zone differences. Some countries are in a completely different time zone that's like 12 hours apart. That would be a pain to have to wake up in the middle of the night to take classes. Some other countries are suffering a humanitarian crisis, and having international students forced to go back to those situations is really just cruel. Now, the other option is for international students who don't want to go back to their home countries to transfer to another college or university with in-person instruction, or at least a hybrid model. I think this is unrealistic, again, because of the short time notice. To transfer to another school, you need to apply and then get accepted and then figure out paperwork. That takes a lot longer than 1 month. I think this decision by ICE also has negative consequences for colleges and universities in the US. Many international students, like I mentioned before, do not receive any financial aid, so they have to pay the full tuition and fees, which schools are able to then use to subsidize tuition for local American students. For schools that rely heavily on finances from international students heavily in that way, I think they might be hit bad financially, or they might even have to shut down. And lastly, I think this decision is really bad for the US. The US is a country that prides itself on values like diversity and inclusion and equal opportunity for all. You know, and a lot of people talk about this nice, cozy idea of the American dream, where if you work hard enough, no matter your ethnicity, creed, or background, that you will succeed. I want America to uphold those values. I came to the US 6 years ago with nothing but a dream. I had gotten a full scholarship to attend Sewanee University of the South for college. I worked my butt off and eventually got a full scholarship to Harvard Medical School. Now, what would that dream be for an ambitious but underprivileged student who couldn't come to the US to study just because of this new ban? I hope the US is able to rethink this ban. America is better when it is more diverse. America is better when it can treat people, regardless of where they came from, humanely in the middle of a global crisis. America is better when it values everyone, irrespective of where they were born. So before I go, I just wanted to say, international students, I hear you, I understand your situation. Let me know if you have questions, leave them in the comments. I know the tremendous anxiety you feel at this time, especially for me not being sure if I'll be able to continue medical school at Harvard in the fall, since Harvard is completely online. I know the struggle, and I want to say what you can do right now is email your college, email your international student advisor, see what they're doing about the situation. I hope something good comes of it in the next few days. Stay up to date on the USCIS website. I'll try to put some links in the description below. And for Americans, what you can do is continue to speak out. There are lots of petitions going out right now. Sign them, show your support, and let's hope for the best. Hope you guys are doing well. Stay safe, like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.